Hi guys. Someone in the comments yesterday wanted to know a little more about Thumpers, so I thought I would. I'm getting ready to make an actual spirit run with the new baby steel. And if you're wondering why I would want two steels, this is a 2.5 gallon little steel, and I can do experiments. I want to get into making some gin. I have to make at least probably 5 gallons to make it worth the while to run Anna Nicole. By the way, this steel is named AJ, Anna Jr. It's her little sister. And so to run Anna Nicole, I would need at least 5 gallons, and this I can just do a lot smaller batches and experiment until I feel like I've kind of mastered that recipe that I want, and then I can make a large amount in the bigger steel. And there's other little things I can do with this as well, but the whole point of this is for Thumpers, not why I bought two steels. Okay, a Thumper is, okay, vapor comes out of here, it goes into here, it goes in this end pipe, which goes down into the liquid, and the liquid could be, you could use water, but I don't know why. Most people would use wash or tails or even more whiskey, and that goes into the liquid, and then up here it's open, and then it goes out of here, and it could come out of here into the condenser, but this time we're using two Thumpers. So we go into this Thumper and goes down. Same thing again. See, this is what it looks like. It's just some copper disc with pipe soldered to it. That's all. And then we have these seals here, which you have to look around. It's a silicone seal for a wide mouth mason jar, and you can find them on eBay and Amazon. I would strongly suggest getting those. You can make these in a few ways. Okay, let's say you didn't use that seal. Then since you didn't use that seal, that copper disc isn't going to be airtight against the glass, even if you put pressure on it. So then you're making contact with a steel ring, that's the typical mason jar ring. So to get around that, if we use a silicone seal, the alcohol is only coming into contact with the copper and silicone, which is, there's no reaction, undesirable reaction with those. So if you did it, you would have to get a copper ring, which I've had Thumpers made out of a copper this and copper ring, and I had to put flour paste all the way around here and pack that in real tight, make sure it's sealed, which is kind of a pain, but it works. This is a whole lot easier, and another advantage this is, I want to show you, we have, see, a little wiggle room, which that comes in super handy when we're connecting our pipes. We don't have much tolerance on a pipe connection. It does fit, but just fits. I mean, see, there's hardly any. You can see a little bit of wiggling there, not much. Now this would leak like a sieve if we put pressure, any kind of pressure on there. And we wrap flour paste around that though, and that tolerance is tight enough that it won't make enough pressure won't get out of there to blow out the flour paste, and it'll heat up and get hard before the pressure builds up anyway, and we can seal it. But by having that little bit of tolerance, if you're trying to put this thing together crooked, it just won't go. But now we can flex this a little bit and make everything slide together and get from point A to point B without too much frustration. It makes your life easier. Okay, now this steel is, all pot steels are made to be run in an open system. We're creating pressure by running these Thumpers. It's not enough pressure to do any damage, but we are creating pressure, and that pressure is measured in water column, which is an exact measurement, because the difference is in, like, say this is alcohol, this is tails, and I have tails in here that I watered down. I have about 2 gallons worth of liquid that's 40 to 50-ish proof. I just did it by quick math in my head volume, so I'm in that range. I'm close. And this is like 170 proof. So that would be different than if we just use water, or we just use wash off of a mash, which is typically what people use that, or just whiskey. You can add your tails in. This is what I'm doing. I'm redistilling tails that didn't taste very good, and by redistilling them, I'm distilling them 3 more times. I'll get a good tasting spirit out of the end. And each one has, there's a lot of different types of runs. There's apple brandy in here. There's rice mash in here. There's corn. There's corn rye. There's corn rye oats, tails. All those yummy things, which at the end of the run doesn't taste good. But when we redistill all those, we'll get a whole different kind of spirit over here, which is awesome. And which will turn out awesome anyway. It's been my experience. Okay, so water column. Water column is 1/28 of a water column equals 1 psi. So if this was 28 inches under the liquid, we can be pretty close to guessing it would be 1 psi. So right now, let's say we're about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Let's just make it 2 to make it simple. So we're 1/26th of a psi. So if we put 1/27th of a psi of pressure through this pipe, it wouldn't blow bubbles. It wouldn't be enough pressure to displace what's in there to let it come out. So that's how we figure out how much pressure we're adding to stuff. And this is going to create way more pressure than that just by what it is, because we're vaporizing the alcohol at 173 degrees. We'll just say that for sake of argument. It's 173 degrees, so that's creating vapor. It wants to expand. It's going to escape. That creates pressure. I don't know what it is, but it does. I want to say 15 pounds, I believe. So then let's get into another thing. The jar, a canning jar, will handle 250 degrees temperature safely, and up to 15 pounds of pressure. Between 10 and 15 pounds is what most pressure canners run at. That's outside pressure. I believe the inside pressure is a little more, but I'm not 100% sure. But I can say it will handle that much. So tops, we are pushing max, but generally, no. We're not even close to that. So I think the safe, when you get, they have pressure relief valves that you can put on stills, and that is like a 15-pound blow off that it just pops the pressure out. It depressurizes the system. So we should never reach that point. A lot of people, not a lot, some people say you should never ever use glass for a thumper, but they are rated to do, we're well below the temperatures, 170 degrees. We get 200 degrees tops. We're not going to get to 200 degrees with the amount of pressure and the heat that we have under it. If we sealed it up more and created more of a pressure, yes, we can get up to 250 degrees. But we're not going to get there with what we're doing. So the limits are, definitely inspect your jars each and every time before you use them. If there's any chips or cracks, don't use it. Have extra jars on hand. And you have to be aware, let's say it's wintertime and we're out in the shed running our still, and we're all done. We want to get it all tear down, so we take the jars off, and we probably got our welding gloves on, and wherever it's sitting, it's slowly heated up as this heated up, so there was no major temperature change, which is the problem you can have with glass. A major temperature change will make it crack. If you take glass out of something hot and set on something cold, it'll break, which you might do if you wasn't paying attention outside. So as with anything, take precautions. Think things through before you do it, and you won't have any issues. I've never had any issue at all with a glass jar. So Okay, let's get back to looking at it. You can build these several different ways. This is just a copper disc with a pipe. See, pipe runs in, goes down to the liquid, then that vaporizes that, and then it comes out again and goes back into liquid. Same process over again. Goes into the worm, gets condensed down into liquid alcohol, and that's it. What happens though is, as it runs into here, this right now is a condenser. It's cold. It's room temperature. So at first the level in this is going to rise because this is condensing this, but the steam vapors coming out of there is going to heat that to the same as this, and it will turn this into a miniature still process, and then those will vaporize, and the same thing will go over here and the levels will rise, and then it'll go out and become liquid alcohol again. So as that's bubbling through there, it's picking up what's in here. That's why you can put flavors or different types of stuff in here, and it'll make your end result different. You could put apples and cinnamon, or you could put botanicals, you could put a different kind of whiskey, you can put a different kind of wash or wine. It's up to you. The combinations are endless. That's what's neat about this stuff. You can make things the way you like, not the way the store says you have to like it, or Jim Beam says is the best. You can make what you think is better. And so I think that's a pretty good. You can go. There's several different ways. You could make like there's a T with a bell on it. So basically, it's just kind of a fitting. Say it would be a 1/2 inch on top, then it would go out to 1 inch, and then it would have another 1/2 inch coming off there. Well, actually, it'd probably be a little bit bigger because an outside 1/2 inch is bigger. So you get whatever size pipe the bell is. You go straight down through the pipe. It goes down through here. It's got a big hole. So that pipe is separate from the lid again. So it's going down in the hole. It's going down in the liquid. Then it has the T up here. So you put that over here. And same thing. It's just you're doing it in one little area instead of making 2 holes in your lid. Same thing. Anything that allows a separate vapor path in, down into the liquid, and then is open to this open area in the jar that allows the vapor to escape again. That's all a thumper does, and that's all it is. You can make it any way you want, but I would suggest using the silicone seals. That just makes life easier on you. It gives you a lot of tolerance. That seal is easy to squish down and get a nice tight seal. I made the other kind, and I had to pack flour paste around it. It's kind of a pain. That makes a chance for a leak. So then you got to stop everything and fix the leak, and it just adds more time to your distillation. But it does work. And I don't, like I said, I don't like the rigid ones so much. I like having the flexibility there, and that allows that flexibility also with that rubber. That gives it that little bit of stuff and stay sealed. Something I should include in this also is one big advantage to thumpers are, let's say you filled your pot a little too full. You got greedy and you have just a little bit left, and you don't want to run just that last little bit by itself, and you pour it in and you burp over or you puke. If you was running a pot still, that would go into your worm and into your pitch jar over here. See, we're running very nicely, and that would contaminate that. It would be cloudy. It looks terrible. This doesn't look like something you want to drink, and it's not a good thing. So if you happen to puke over, you'll puke into your thumpers, and then it'll just get distilled and come out whiskey. So that's a big plus, and it's happened to a lot of us. And the reason they used thumpers back in the day was they would use a wood fire out in the woods. And how do you control the temperature with a wood fire? I mean, you can kind of guess. You add a little, take a little out, but still, So these thumpers, give you a buffer, and they're monitoring the temperature for you, getting it closer to the ideal temperature that you need to vaporize. And so when you come out with a cleaner spirit. So that's a definite plus too. See, like right now I'm running at 180, and I would say, I think where I'm at, alcohol probably boils at like 174, which I would run a little bit above that. We just talked about that real quick, but I can run a little high and pump out quicker down here. See, nice steady stream, about the size of a matchstick. That's what you're looking for. And with this 1/2 inch setup, if you was running a 3/8 pipes, it would be a little smaller, obviously, but that allows me to do that and still get a nice clean high proof spirit down here. And by doing that, I'll proof this down some, add some water to it, and make it more drinkable. I don't like the way high proof drinks. It's harsh on your throat, and you get more of the alcohol bite. And I keep everything at about 100 proof. But with that, I hope this kind of flows in. I had to make it in different sections as I made the video, but so on to the next topic. Well, I was going to end the video different. I'm going to have to cut that ending out and show this running a little bit. A couple things I wanted to touch on that I left out about Thumpers. See, this one's warming up, and it's from the outside, just pulling this thermometer against it. It's 120 and rising quickly, and the level started down here, and as we can see, it's already risen up to here. That's because see, the still's set at 180. It's holding there. The vapors are coming out. They're going down into here, and this was cold, so it was condensing, and that causes, so this is alcohol going into this, and as it warms up, see, this one's starting to rise. So some of the vapors come up and they go into here, then they condense again, but not nearly as fast as this one. And as they come up, this will warm up as it gets more steam in there, or vapors in there. And let's see, what are we at now? Oh, that's just because of the way I'm holding it. We're not going to get a real accurate reading this way. As this temperature comes up, this will become another distillation process, and then the same thing will happen over here. The volumes will rise, and it'll start distilling, and then it'll start pumping out. How this works in proof, sometimes they call these things doublers. So I had 50 proof in here. As we bring this up to temperature, if we ran it exactly 100% of the vaporization point, the vapors would come out and we'd condense them down. But if you do that and only at that temperature, you can do it and collect very high proof alcohol off of a pot still, but you're still going to get some conagers and water and fusel oils, but less, but it's going to drip so slow. You're not going to want to sit there for 2 days collecting all that, so you run it at a higher temperature. And some of those flavors that are in there are what gives your alcohol its characteristics. So let's say it's coming out of here at 130. Then it hits this, which already had 170 proof in it. So that's going to mix with that, and we're going to have probably like 150 to 160 proof. And then this had more 170 in it. So now we came out at a higher proof again, and now we're going to jump up to say 170 to like 186, somewhere in there. That'll be my top proof. Running 2 Thumpers. And one of the advantages is you kind of get, like say in my reflux column, that's stripping the less volatile chemicals out and pushing the alcohol up the column. And this is not so much stripping it. How to explain that? It retains some of those flavors a little better versus stripping it with a reflux column, if that makes any sense. And okay, so now I think with this we can finally call it the end. And even though I said it in the last video, I guess I should touch that real quick. Something you always have to worry about with Thumpers is back pressure. When you shut the heat off, you create a vacuum. And I know I said this on the last video, but I still want to bring it up again. That's to me, that's the most dangerous, or I wouldn't even necessarily say dangerous. The most chances for any kind of failure is when that happens. So this is just flour, so you could take those pipes and break them loose real quick, and that's perfectly doable. But I find that to be kind of a pain, and everything's hot. You got to use gloves or a pot holder or a towel or something. And like I said, I would rather put a dump valve here, or like I've used my thermometer. I can just unscrew it real quick. Same kind of process to equalize the pressure once you shut it off. So that's just my opinion on that. Just taking the pipes loose works perfectly well if you don't want to mess with anything, or you're not capable of modifying what you have over what they sell, or don't have anyone to do it for you. That will work just fine. There's no reason you can't do that. You could unscrew this real quick, but once again, you're touching hot stuff. You make sure you have welding gloves on, or even just regular gloves. But welding gloves would be preferred. It takes a lot of heat to get through those, and you won't burn yourself. So with that, I am finally going to take what I thought was going to be a 10-minute video, and now I turned it into 20 minutes. But I hope this explains everything about Thumpers. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section. I love answering and sharing knowledge with people. And please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Lots of love. Bye.